It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name's Thomas Schick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello.
And please welcome back Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
Yay.
Yay.
How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Peachy Keen.
She said it, Mike.
She did.
Great.
Yeah, she took the week off. We'll let her get away with it this time.
Okay, all right.
Just this time, Matt.
Hope everybody's doing okay out there. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Well, so I've got another documentary that I watched. This one is a really good one. It is called Nat King Cole, Afraid of the Dark. This came out, was released in 2014. And I am not going to lie, I didn't really know that much about him. So this was actually very informative for me, and it's really well done. It is definitely another sad ending one, obviously. I didn't realize how sad an ending it was, mainly because I kind of knew he died young. I kind of didn't realize how young he had died. So, or how. I mean, I kind of suspected how, because they were showing pictures and video clips of him early on in this thing, and he always had a cigarette in his hand. But yeah, it's really informative. They talked to a lot of his family members. They talked to his widow. They talked to a lot of other musicians that worked with him and were also popular at the time. But yeah, it's a really good documentary. But yeah, don't let it sneak up on you at the end, because it's a rough ending.
Did they speak with his daughter?
They spoke with all of his daughters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this came out before Natalie died.
Yeah.
And he had two other daughters as well, and a son that you almost never hear about, really. But the son died pretty early, pretty young. But yeah, they talked talked quite a bit with the family. So yeah, it was really cool.
That's one I'll look for.
Yeah, it is on Netflix.
Cool.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Yeah, I admit, I'm familiar with some of his songs, and wasn't he in Cat Blue as one of the balladeers?
Yes.
Okay.
He was.
Yeah. So, beyond that, I don't know that much about him. So I would definitely be interested in checking that out. Okay.
I don't really have a lot. I've been playing nurse and sanitizer this week, so yeah.
Well, that sounds disgusting.
Right, well, it was. Yeah, I've just kind of browsed here and there. Actually, our topic of the night, I wasn't real familiar with it. I think when it first came out, Thomas gave me an issue, and so I've kind of read through some of those too. So, and if I talk about it now, I can't talk about it later. So
you basically did
nothing.
homework,
Right.
and that's cool. That's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and Disney had a bunch of their movies on, but I won't bore you guys with that. You're welcome.
Too late. Long story short, too late.
Yeah. I said it's been crazy.
Yeah.
Just
I'll be
glad to have you
interested.
back.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll try to be more interesting next week. I'll make a point.
Next week? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, about that.
Speaking of next week.
We'll come to that a little bit later after Les and I kind of do our report. So Les.
Well, I too did some homework for tonight's talk. Also, I found myself addicted to Dateline. It seems that there is a Dateline show about every hour on one of the channels, and I keep flipping through them, hopefully finding one that I haven't seen, and getting frustrated when the criminal either is let off for insufficient evidence or is convicted, that I just look at the screen and go, you better thank God that you're not in Texas, buddy. Because the penalty is a bit worse than what other states are issuing. But that's about what I've been doing this week.
Yeah, my mom is addicted to those shows. She's addicted to a lot of Law and Orders, but she also likes the Datelines and investigative reports or some of those kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny how she'll watch one episode of Dateline. She goes, I've seen this being done on another show. Or vice versa, or she's seen with one of the other ones and said, I watched this when it was on Dateline. I'm like, oh yeah, of course. So, but yeah, there's one of those that's on Dateline. I can't remember his name. I'll have to look it up real quick. That she really likes. Anyway, it's not bad. It's Keith Morrison. That's her favorite.
Okay.
Of all the ones that usually do one of those episodes, she really likes Keith Morrison. Something about the voice, I think. So, anyway.
If you wanted to get her involved in listening to podcasts, all you'd have to do is point out to her that easily 40%. I'm halfway making up a number, but it's a ridiculous percentage of podcasts are true crime.
That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there, and obviously because they're interesting stories and topics, and there's obviously a demand. So
yep. People are morbid.
Well, there's that too.
And I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. They just are. I mean, it's just people like to hear the sordid details of things and crime.
Well, there's a curiosity. There's a curiosity to it.
Yeah, that's a much politer way of putting it than I put it, but it's the same thing.
I'm not always polite, but I am right now. So, well, for me, I guess first off, we need to mention that we had our meet and gab the weekend before, and it was a nice success. Thank you to everybody who did show up. It's always a good time to just kind of sit around and just chit chat about everything that's been going on. Obviously, the news from San Diego has been mind blowing. I'm still kind of reeling over the Picard trailer. Looks like it's going to be a pretty good show, but we won't be able to watch it for another year. But if you're following me on social media, you've already seen me throw out some theories about what's going on, and we'll just have to see. But it did look good. Was excited to hear the news about the Halloween. And for those who did not hear, there will be 2 more Halloween films, and supposedly that is it. There will be a Halloween film in 2020, and then one in 2021. The one in 2020 is titled Halloween Kills, and then 2021 is Halloween Ends. And this is supposedly the end of the Michael Myers Laurie Strode storyline. And it's by the same people that did the 2018 movie, which I loved. I thought it was great. So I have high hopes for these next 2 films. Conversely, I saw the trailer for Jay and Silent Bob reboot. I was kind of disappointed in that because it's literally a remake of Let Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So it's not really a reboot, it's a remake. But, whatever. If they had fun and it does real well, then hey. But I was disappointed seeing that trailer. So. But of course, all the Marvel films and TV shows are coming. Wow. Mikey, did you catch the title of the Doctor Strange one?
No.
They're saying this is going to be the first MCU horror film.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It is titled In the Multiverse of Madness.
Really?
Yes.
All right. We'll see.
Sounds interesting. Yep.
Conversely, the Thor title is Love and Thunder. And they announced that Natalie Portman will be playing Thor. Jane Foster Thor.
Yeah, that I did kind of hear.
So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. We shall see.
So it's going to be a very interesting next few years. Which surprisingly, there's only 2 films next year. We're going to have Black Widow next May, and then the Eternals next November, or November 2020. So 2 for next year, instead of 3 or 4 like they have been. But they'll make up for that the next few years after that.
Right. They want to keep everybody kind of reeling from Endgame, I think. They don't want to flood the market now.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be counterproductive.
And the other thing did you want to say something, Liz? I'm sorry.
Well, I was reading it. Speaking of Endgame, I was reading a interview with the Russo brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And originally, what was supposed to bring us into the 3rd act was that Thanos was going to cut off Captain America's head and throw it at the feet of Iron Man and them. Could you imagine? Oh my God. To me, it just seemed a little overkill. I'm glad they went a different direction than that. That was pretty.
That's rough.
That would have been
Yeah.
really rough. And I know these movies aren't marketed towards kids, but a lot of kids watch these movies. Can you imagine how traumatizing that would have been? I mean, I think the way that Iron Man went out, spoiler alert, the way Iron Man went out was very, very Iron Man. I mean, it wasn't senseless, it wasn't stupid, it wasn't, but for that, it's just kind of like, wow.
Well, but that unfortunately that happens in wars. That happens in real life. Senseless things happen.
Yeah.
I was reminded this past weekend about how Tasha Yar died in Star Trek Next Generation.
Yep.
I mean, it was a senseless death. It happens. So, and yeah, I mean, that's maybe a little bit of an apples and oranges, but I don't really think so. It's just things like that. It was a gruesome. It would have been a gruesome death. But that happens, especially when you're really literally talking about a war.
Yeah. But still, that's pretty. Wow.
I mean, what did you expect Thanos to do then?
Well,
I mean, if he's wanting to kill somebody, there's other ways to do it, but
But he's supposed to be kind of a brutal guy anyway, so.
Yeah, and he is supposed to be brutal. But, my thing is, okay, in the second act, you wouldn't have Doctor Strange cut off his arm, but you're willing to cut off Captain America's head? What? So, yeah, I think that
And that's
shock factor, that would have been okay. But as far as story, I don't know.
But they also toned it down.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Yeah. So in hindsight, I mean, it's a moot point, but there was a reason why Doctor Strange did or didn't do the things that he did or didn't do.
Yeah.
I mean, he mentioned he saw it turned into a meme, 14,000 different variations of how things were going to go, and there was only one way where they were going to win.
Yeah.
So, obviously he saw cutting off the arm was not going to work. That had to be one of the options. So, yeah.
It'll always be one of those things like Jack could have fit on the door too.
Pretty much.
Where it could have happened, but...
But it's a different story if you do it that way,
Yeah, which I think cutting off Captain America's head would have been a whole different story than what we got.
Sure.
Yeah.
It definitely would have gotten a different response.
Yeah.
Boy,
It gets you out of a contract real quick.
It would indeed. Oh, I don't know. They could do flashbacks for years in different movies. Come on.
Well, that's true,
Or
too.
prequels or any crazy shit like that.
Yeah, that's a pretty big character to die like that, though.
Yeah.
well, I mean, you mentioned that, Mike, about showing up in kind of flashbacks and stuff. I mean, oh my God, they killed off Tobin Bell's character in Saw in the third one, and he showed up for the next 4 films.
Yep.
So there's ways around it,
Yeah.
So, the other thing I wanted to mention, it's kind of funny how 2 weeks in a row I'm mentioning games, but if you've hung around us here locally, you know that Les and I don't even know if Mike's played this. I'm not sure if you've played it either. We're big fans of a game called Flux, where it is a game that literally changes from player to player, depending on what cards are being played. There's only one rule to start with. So you draw one card and you play a card. And the deck has several different rule changes, actions, and goals, and all that. Well, the company who put out Flux, Looney Labs, has put out a digital version. It is now available for the iOS and Android, and I have downloaded it, and I've been having fun with it. I've had one technical issue with it, but it just came out, so stuff like that's going to happen. It's not a big deal, but it's been fun so far, and it's supposed to eventually come out for a computer through Steam. But it's something y'all might want to check out. It only for the app only costs $2.99, so it's not a big deal. And then you can actually play online with other players, or play offline and play against the AI, which is what I've been doing. So it's a fun game. Definitely check that one out.
Is that what it's called? It's just Flux on...
Flux. It's called Flux. FLUXX.
Cool. Yeah, I liked that one.
Yeah, don't mishear that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't listen to that one, definitely.
No Flux to give. The first one I ever played was the Batman one.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
I think you guys talked me into that one. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, this is the standard version, which is fine, because I mean, it still works. Because there's several different versions as a card game. Liz mentions Batman. There's a Doctor Who. There's a Firefly. They've released not only a classic Star Trek, but they've also done Next Generation, DS9, if it's not out, it's supposed to come out. There's supposed to be one based on Jumanji. It's supposed to come out in August, as well as a Marvel version. And there's even a Monty Python and a Holy Grail version.
Ooh.
So there's probably 20 different versions at this point. And it's a fun game. If you've not checked it out, I highly recommend it. It at most is a 30-minute game. It's all and it's easy to learn. So definitely quick games, and it's a blast to play. So just check it out.
And it's even more fun when somebody says, one more card and I'm going to win it all.
Yeah. Word of advice: don't call your shots.
Right.
Yeah. Do or do not. There is no just saying, "Hey, I'm about to," because you may not. It may not happen.
Sounds kind of like Munchkin in that regard.
Exactly.
Everybody gang up on that guy. He says he's got one go left. Yeah.
All right. Before we get into this week's topic or discussion, we have two announcements to make. First, our next monthly meet and gab is going to be August 10th, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check that date again.
I believe so.
Yes, August 10th, and it's already been posted on the website, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. And there's also a Facebook event set up. If you're following us on Facebook, feel free to say that you're interested in going. What this is, if you're not familiar with it, is every second Saturday of the month, we do a event where we go to, in this case, we go to Wing City, and that's located at 1456 Beltline Road, Suite 120, and that's in Garland. The zip is 75044 at 7 p.m. And we sit there for a couple hours and talk about anything that's going on in the world of geek, whether it's comics, movies, television, games, whatever. We'll just whatever's on your mind, we'll be willing to discuss. It's always a blast.
Yep.
So our next one's going to be Saturday, August 10th at 7 p.m. So feel free to join us. And like I said, there's further information on the website or on our Facebook page. Second announcement: no episode next week. So for the week of the 4th, we will not have a new episode. We are taking a week off for several different reasons. I will be back the following week, the 11th.
Yeah.
So stand apprised for that. So that gives you a week to go back and listen to our other 100 and how many now?
70.
170.
170.
Yeah. So this will actually be 171. Can't believe we've done these that many, but here we are.
I cannot believe we stuck with it this long. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
We're either stubborn or stupid. I hadn't figured it out.
It could be both. I want to rule that possibility out,
The answer is yes.
I thought it was 42.
That too.
Nice. I like that. Good one there, Liz.
See how
All
we're
right.
rubbing off on me. Although Phil got me on one yesterday, and he was like, "Yeah, your podcast guys would have known that," and it was like, "What?" So now I have to ask you guys: smoke up, Johnny. Do y'all know that one? Because I kind of had to look at him, and I was like, "What?" That one's the Breakfast Club.
Oh, God.
Got a carton of cigarettes for, was it Christmas or his birthday?
Yeah, you got it for Christmas.
And his dad said, "Smoke up, Johnny." I was like, oh my God, not you too.
No,
I'm not-
actually, I had to look that up. So, no.
I'm not quick enough to catch them. And then you guys are like, that's from it. It's like, oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I had seen Breakfast Club, and I don't know how long. It's been a long time.
I literally saw it once, and I think I was in
Oh,
college
man.
at the time,
Well, that I can believe.
so it's been a few years.
Yeah, I can believe you only watched it once.
Yeah.
I've seen it quite a few times. Along with Pretty in Pink and all the other coming-of-age films.
Yeah. John Hughes wasn't big in our house.
I had 3 older sisters. He was like huge in our house.
Right.
Okay, so for this week, if you've been a long-time listener to our show, you know by now that we love to do casting calls. We plan one almost every other month because doing it every month would be a little crazy.
Even for us. Right?
Even for us. So, yes, we are doing a casting call this week. This week, however, is a little different. What we have done in the past has usually been a continuation of a movie or a TV show, or in some cases, we created one, a fictitious movie or TV show, but it's usually based off of superheroes and villains. That's not the case with this one. If you've also been listening to us, you know that we are big fans of the miniseries, both of them, Spencer and Locke from Action Lab Comics. This has been picked up for development as a film, but we can't wait. So we decided to do our own casting for a film, although something I've been thinking about the last, 24 hours or so, I'm like, you know what, this would probably be better as a streaming series.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't have a problem with the movie, but yeah, I could see being able to go in a little bit more depth with a streaming series, but hey. For the discussion, we did film because it had been optioned as for film.
Yeah, that was where we got the idea, basically.
That's essentially how we got the idea. But a streaming series wouldn't be bad either. So
No, not at all.
However, we're doing our casting call for Spencer and Locke.
Right, and just to prepare everybody, we're probably going to be pretty spoilerific in this one. So
Yeah.
if you have not read both volumes, because the volume 2 just wrapped up a few weeks ago, it would not hurt. Some of the things we're going to say would make a lot more sense if you've read both volumes. We'll put it that way. So you should pick we usually tell you to pick them up anyway because, like I said, many of us are fans. So hopefully you've got them already and you're flipping through them, looking at pictures, going, oh yeah, that one. Okay, yeah, that. Like we are. I mean, as we're doing this, basically.
Right.
But see, now I think I'm in trouble because I didn't know there was a volume 2. So y'all can fire me tonight.
No, that's fine.
Withhold my pay,
There's just I'm betting a couple of people on the list didn't make much sense then, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Sure.
when you Google around and stuff, it does.
Right. Fair enough.
But yeah.
It's all
And
right.
it's crazy because when I do research like that, of course, I Google and stuff, and I only saw the first one. So,
Interesting.
yeah. So you guys will have to tell me what happens in the second one.
Well, you'll probably figure it out just from hearing us going on about it here tonight. But like I said, that's the spoilerific part. There will be spoilers tonight, so
Cool.
go read the stuff for yourself. Maybe hit pause and go read
Yeah.
them and then come back or something.
There you go.
Obviously,
See, I don't mind spoilers on things like that.
me either. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah. because I'll read it regardless, you know.
Yep.
All right, so who would like to go first? Obviously not Liz.
Probably best if.
Well, I mean, I still cast my movie.
Right.
I went vanity again, so.
Oh god.
Yay!
So the same list of people from last time. You're right. Okay.
Right. I kind of well, one of them I will say is, you'll probably, yeah.
Well, I actually have someone on my
Probably, yeah.
list that is on a lot of your lists anyway, so this will be fun.
Okay. It'd be
Well, of
cool
course,
if you picked them for the same person.
Well, of course, she picked everybody from Supernatural, so we might as well just rule that out.
Right.
Oh, man. Only two.
Only two.
Only two.
Only two.
Of
And
the
hey,
four
it's-
people in the cast, you have
Right.
picked only two.
Only two. No,
Uh-huh.
but I think when you hear my choices, you guys will see that they fit. But Supernatural is wrapping up, so they'll be free.
They will be free.
Just saying.
Uh-huh. I'm interested in hearing your picks, Mike.
Okay. Well, then does that mean I should go first or last? Because
Step on up.
all right,
Whatever you want to do.
all right.
You're the
all right.
next contestant.
Let's we'll go easy and start off with Locke.
Okay.
This is the guy. He's the cop. He's the detective. And I'm not gonna lie. I've got more than one pick for most of these people. Because it's complicated. All right. Jeez.
Yeah.
Um,
I know.
Okay, and honestly, for the most part, I don't really even have a preference. I don't like one over the other necessarily. I think there's some different takes to be had on this. So I have two different people picked for Locke.
Okay.
One of them is Scott Grimes.
Ooh, okay.
If you're not familiar with
Yeah.
Scott Grimes, he is currently on the Orville. He's kind of the I'm not even sure what his character is. I don't really watch the Orville. I think it's a cool idea for a show. I haven't really gotten into it yet.
Is he the navigator?
Maybe. Like I said, I don't watch the show. He's the redheaded guy.
Yeah, he definitely has look. I can see that. I can see
I
him.
could seem to look. Yeah.
And see, so my thought process behind this is Locke is a very he's a very complex character, and he's kind of got that on the edge thing going a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back, I could probably rattle off several examples of comic actors who, when they go serious, do really well at that sort of character.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of gambling on Grimes doing that. I mean, you get people like Robin Williams has done it with certain roles. He goes and what was the name of that one movie? Like 1 Hour Photo or something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Ooh.
you get a guy because this is gonna sound bad, but it's not meant to be bad. A lot of times the people who make really good comedians are the people who are really kind of not whole.
Yeah.
And so they're people who are struggling with their own issues and are just somehow able to make it funny. And so that's how they've managed to have a comedy career. I'm
Yeah.
not sure Scott Grimes is that guy necessarily, but I think he maybe could be. I don't know.
Yeah. I could see that one.
Yep. Me too.
My
As soon
other
as you said it. Yep.
my other choice for this is Donald Gleason, who is another
Oh.
redhead.
Yeah.
Who has done a lot more serious acting stuff, and I think it's just a really good actor, honestly, and so I think he would probably be good for it as well. So if I couldn't get one, you'd go with the other.
Okay.
I like those choices.
Me too.
Was he in that time travel movie?
Do you
Where-
really think I've seen a time travel movie, do you?
Yeah, you're asking Mike about time travel.
This is the one where the person is able to travel, and he does so to fix relationships. But he has only so many times. His father was also a traveler.
No idea.
I don't know, but I know he was Bill Weasley in Harry Potter, right?
Was he? Maybe.
Is that the same one I'm thinking?
Maybe.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
The movies I remember. Well, he was in The Force Awakens.
Yes, he's General Hux from the new
Right.
Star Wars films.
Yes, and
Okay.
he was also in Ex Machina.
Yeah.
And he did a really good job in that as well. And he's been in a ton of other stuff. I just have not seen it all.
Oh God, yes.
He's a really busy guy, so yeah.
Those are good. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Good choices. I like those.
Now mine's going to seem stupid. Thanks. Well, I had read an interview in part of my research where they gave them a what if scenario. And he said that he would really like to see someone like Ryan Gosling play the role. And I thought, well, not Ryan Gosling. He's kind of eh. So I've never cared for him too much. So I went the other direction with a guy who almost looks like him, but a little bit more scruffier. And I went with Ryan Reynolds. He can play the unhinged, and, you know, if a guy is seeing a panther, he's not all there. So that's the direction I went. Dye his hair red.
No, please don't. No. Don't do that. No. We're not making the mustache mistake again. No. Let him just cut his hair short and don't worry about his hair color. It's not that important.
I mean, he kind of wears it short and scruffy like that anyway, so.
Right.
They dyed his hair for Pikachu. Come on.
Wow, you really want to get that one out. Bravo.
I was sitting on that for so long.
That was good. I hope it was comfy because it was good.
I'm so glad I got to hatch that thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Les.
Well, I went the comedic route because I know this actor can do serious, but he's got. To me, Locke has an inner child, and he's obviously battling his past. But the inner child, to me, can be done by Jason Segel. Someone that can not only do serious acting, but he can also tap that
the childlike thing. I think
right.
I see where you're going with this. I like it. He's not my favorite, but I like it. I like the idea.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say somebody like Zachary Levi after Shazam, but I think Segel could fit this.
Yeah.
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it.
I could too.
Yeah, that's good.
It's really good choices. Kind of makes me wonder if I was kind of off on mine.
Nah.
I went with Charlie Hunnam.
Okay.
From Sons of Anarchy and.
I think you never go wrong with a little bit of Charlie.
That's what she said.
Ooh.
Well, she did say it.
Yeah,
that's she just said it.
She said it, yes. No, I like that you're taking a little bit of a darker edge, and I like that.
Yeah.
He would be a little bit darker than a lot of our picks so far.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, because I was kind of thinking of more of the, the torment, but I'm sure, I haven't seen. I can't think of much of him the lighter side of either of his roles, but I'm sure he could do it. So.
Yeah. He did something before Sons of Anarchy. I cannot remember what it is now. And I'm wanting to say it was kind of like a lighter, not comedy, but it seemed he's another one like Andrew Lincoln we were talking about week before last.
Mhm.
But they play the part so well, and then you hear an interview with him, and you're like, oh my God. He has an accent?
Oh yeah, he's
Very strong
he's
accent, too.
British.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about Undeclared?
Was it Undeclared?
Yeah, he was in the
Yeah, I wanna
TV
say-
series.
He was like a teenager or something in this role. Because
Well,
once
This
he
was
kind of got gritty,
Is that not
they
a
started
college
posting
thing?
pictures of him.
well, I mean, Undeclared was from 2001 to 2003, and Sons of Anarchy was 2008 to 2014.
Maybe it was then. Yeah, I like that choice.
We couldn't tell there, Liz. We couldn't
No
tell
kidding.
at all.
Jeez.
Okay, we'd like to shut down for a few minutes to let Liz clear the drool off her keyboard.
Off my microphone
Go,
here, yeah.
go get the mop.
Yeah, you're going to short out the keyboard. Jeez.
Alrighty. So what's next, Mikey?
Okay, well, I don't see any point in varying from the list order we have, so let's go with Spencer. Now, I think there's a couple of different ways we could do this. And my preference would be to do some sort of motion capture, but we don't necessarily have to go too much into the details of the animation. But Spencer's pretty much going to be an animated character because enough of us, I think, have seen the Cats trailer that came out that we know not to do that already.
Oh God.
Oh,
I
wow.
cannot believe that's real. But anyway.
I can't believe it's not catching as much hell as Sonic did. I mean, come on. It's about on the same field as far as quality of looks go.
I think in certain circles it may be, but yeah.
Oh, man. Whew.
Just maybe not as widespread.
They're like, don't talk about my T-Swift like that. It's like, oh, man. If she made the conscious decision to dress up like that, then yeah.
Then she's fair game.
Right.
Very fair game, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So we're looking at a voice actor here, and again, I've got two different options here, including some semi-complicated crossover stuff here a little bit. But so my first choice for the voice of Spencer, and this was almost the first one I came up with. I for some reason I started hearing Bryan Cranston's voice in my head, and I just didn't know what else to do with it. Because yeah, I mean, it's just so much Breaking Bad in there. It just fit, I thought, for me.
Yeah.
For the role, and
Yeah.
admittedly, Spencer's not exactly that character, but that voice would work amazingly. The other person I came up with for this was J.K. Simmons.
I like both of those.
Yeah.
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 I like both of those a lot.
Yeah, I think either way you can't go wrong.
No, you can't.
Yep. Well, this is where my first supernatural guy comes in.
We didn't have to wait long, did we?
I went with
Actually, I'm surprised it took this long.
right.
Mm.
I almost cast Jensen as Detective Locke, but yes.
Of course you did.
But I went with Jim Beaver. When I was reading the comics myself, I almost had like a Ron Perlman kind of gruffy sound in my head. So I was thinking, who else that I liked more? So I went with Jim Beaver. And just purposely for the part he played on Bobby, because you could almost hear him call him an idiot.
I can go with that.
And he would refuse to dress up like a cat. I'm almost certain.
Well, it depends what the money's like here.
Oh, that's true. I might dress up like a cat as money's right.
Yeah, see, my brain went to the motion capture stuff that they were doing for like the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies.
Yes.
So that you wouldn't have to do somebody dressed up in a stupid suit. You'd have somebody specifically whose job it was to be the physical presence, and then you just put a voice over the top of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to mess with putting an actor in a suit. It's just not worth it. There are people whose job that is to do that sort of thing.
Right. Yep, I agree.
Okay.
Good choice. I am looking at a famous actor, and I just did this because I know his range. I know he can do dialects. I know he can do accents. And the person I picked was Idris Elba. Just for some strange reason, when I read the volume, I was picturing that. This is one of my processes for reading a book. I pick an actor and I hear their voice as I'm reading, and I know exactly how it's going to be said. And this is an actor whose voice I believe was one that would hit the mark.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I
Me
like
too.
that.
Very much so.
Definitely. I may have gone a little bit down the predictable route, but when I started reading the dialogue, I couldn't decide which voice I was hearing. So I have two choices. One is Keith David, because I'm a big Keith David fan.
He's got a great voice. Honestly.
He's got a great voice.
Yes.
And I think it would work for Spencer. And the other one, I gotta admit, this was the voice I heard first. Although there was, like I said, sometimes I heard Keith David. The other one was Clancy Brown.
Okay.
Yeah,
A very distinctive voice.
Very distinctive, maybe a little bit lower, but especially when you read the second miniseries, and it sounds like, and just from what some of the actions and some of the dialogue, it sounds like Spencer's starting to be a little bit more of the taking kind of control of the relationship. He was a little bit more of the, what's the word I'm looking for, Mikey? Not so much dominating, but just a little bit more.
He was pushing harder. That's for sure.
He was pushing hard. He was pushing harder. Yeah. Okay.
A
I'll
larger
take
presence.
So.
Yeah.
So.
Hmm.
No, and honestly, it's one of those deals where the reason Clancy Brown seems predictable or cliche is because he's just so friggin' good at it.
He's good at it.
Oh my
exactly.
God. He's just so good at it. So yeah, I mean, I would absolutely love to get Clancy Brown for this. That would be fantastic.
Mr. Krabs. He'll always be that to me.
Uh-huh. There can be
And it
only
was-
one.
Kind of weird because, you hardly ever see the voice actors behind the cartoons, So some of them, the more popular ones, Tara Strong and them, you know. But with him, SpongeBob just had a birthday. And part of Patrick had to get him out of the house, and they went up on top of the land. Well, when they did, it was a diner, and he was there, as the owner of the place, kind of the live action Mr. Krabs. He wasn't a crab, but But it was kind of weird because it was like, oh my God, I know that guy. I didn't know that was him.
Yeah, he's done like real acting with like not just voice acting stuff. He's been like
Yeah.
on camera. I mean, he
Oh,
kind
God,
of
yeah.
kind of got his start in Highlander back in the mid '80s.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of his breakout role, the Kurgan. I mean, yeah, that was not a voice thing. It was him on screen.
Yeah.
It was great.
But when you take a look at his credits, it's like, God, he voiced my childhood, you know?
Yeah, he's one of those people that is in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot of the popular stuff.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, had to throw that in there.
No, that's fine.
That's okay.
But if y'all haven't seen that, like I said, they handled this episode really cute. And they even, David Hasselhoff's been in all the movies. And even he made an appearance. So it was kind of like, this is cool. Happy birthday, SpongeBob.
Wow.
An appearance by the Hoff?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Made the
So
big
you know
time,
it's got to
man.
be good.
Right. You know you made the big time.
Alrighty.
Okay, for this one I'm gonna jiggle the order a little bit because I want to go
Sure.
with Augustus next
Okay.
because that crap I was talking about Bryan Cranston.
Mm-hmm.
My initial thought was to have Bryan Cranston do both Spencer and Augustus. I thought it would be an interesting idea to have Spencer's voice be the voice of Locke's father.
I like that.
I do too.
I ended up kind of deciding not to, but I still not because I don't think it's viable, but because I wanted to come up with other possible actors for Augustus.
Well,
I
yeah.
didn't want to just shut it down there. So again, I've got two. The first one I'll go with is Toby Stephens, and honestly, if we'd been doing this 20 years ago, I might have cast him as Locke. But he's so good at playing the bad guy. He's just so good at it.
Mm-hmm.
My other choice here was Bill Mumy, who I thought would bring a real, also another guy who's good at playing a bad guy, and also just a really just an actor with a whole lot of range and can do a whole lot of different stuff. And I just for some reason I thought he would be really good in this role.
I could see it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I like both of those. Liz?
This one. Hang on. Okay. I went with Ben Kingsley on this one. Did I go too old?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No.
He's the kind. I mean, he's another one of those. He's so good. You could almost put him in anything, type things. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's played roles where he has just brought just an unbelievable amount of intensity. And so yeah, that would fit. That would fit Augustus really well.
I was thinking of the mob boss vibe,
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that choice. Yep. Okay, Les?
For me, I have two choices. One much better than the other. First one I'm going to toss out is Jeff Goldblum. Although
That's interesting.
It's a very interesting one, yes.
I like it.
I have a problem with his delivery sometimes, the stuttering type of delivery he has. But I think he's got the reserve to do justice to that part.
Yeah, and if nothing else, he can do crazy enough to make up the difference.
Yes.
So yeah.
And he too was with Clancy Brown in one of the movies. So
yeah.
My first choice for this is because he's already done villain work. He's also done hero work, and that's Mark Strong. Mark Strong was Merlin in the Kingsman movies, and he was Dr. Savannah in Shazam.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
And he was dynamic.
Oh yeah, that guy's. You want to talk about intensity? Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I love both choices, but definitely Mark Strong. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also Sinestro.
Yes.
Yeah, despite the fact that we're trying to forget that movie, yes.
Well, he was one of the good things about that film.
He was. He did an awesome Sinestro, for sure, in a movie that didn't deserve him.
In hindsight, when I started kind of looking at Augustus, I may have gone a little bit older, but damn it, I like him so much. I like the actor so much. I just watched The Shape of Water here real recently, and just enjoyed him in it. And I'm like, I like Richard Jenkins.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he might work for Augustus. And of course, I'm a big fan of Cabin in the Woods, and I enjoyed him in that as well. So, hey.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, yeah, I think he's a great choice for it. I think he's one of the few where you'll get both the look and the ability to just pull off the role.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Totally. And yeah, he is a little older, but that's all right. That's what they got makeup for.
Mm-hmm. But he doesn't really look 72.
Right.
So.
Few of us do.
I know I don't.
Good.
Because I'm not 72.
Right. Yep, you don't look a day over 69, I'm telling you.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Alrighty, who's next, Mike?
Let's jump back to Sophie, because this is an interesting casting situation, because and here's where we get into spoiler town a little bit. The first time we see Sophie, we're looking at her corpse.
Yeah.
So, but then you start thinking, well, how hard is it to cast a corpse? But no, she actually does. There's some flashback stuff in there, and it would be good to have somebody who can handle a role. And so I'm not entirely sure why I ended up picking her for this, but mainly I think because she's just really good. But I went with Olivia Wilde.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
She's just a really good actor. I mean, and so, and is this a huge role? Probably not, but
No,
that's all right.
I like that. I like that choice. I do. That was not one I had thought of, and I kind of wish I had.
Yeah. I do like that too.
Okay, Liz.
See, I wasn't thinking corpse. I was thinking flashbacks that he had. So, I went with Haley Steinfeld, kind of the younger girl next door. She was in Bumblebee.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
yeah.
I like it too.
Yeah, I think you're not going the wrong direction with The Girl Next Door. I mean, obviously Olivia Wilde is not, but I think it's perfectly good. I like it.
Yeah,
And she's
I like
at
it too.
that age where you could make her younger or older for flashbacks purposes, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's a pretty good choice too.
Yeah. For my choice, I just want to see this person back into entertainment. Amanda Bynes.
I like her.
I know that she does a lot of comedy, but once again, as was explained earlier, comedians have a tendency to hit with drama very easily and very quickly.
Yep.
And I just thought that she was one that could play an innocent, yet have a deeper self, which was Sophie's position.
That's a good choice.
Yeah, that's interesting. I kind of like that. I would hope she's kind of gotten her shit together, because she had some serious issues, right?
Yes.
Well, see, I think she did have serious issues. She really did. But when you're young like she was, and she got her break so young, social media nowadays and the internet, every little bitty thing you do is online, and it's blown up, and it's exaggerated. I mean, look what we did to Britney Spears.
It can totally mess you up, for sure.
But she had to battle her mental illness in the public spotlight. Mm-hmm. You know, to where you have to act this way, you have to be this way, you have to be perfect. On a normal person, that's breaking. On someone, you know, like her, who's young, and not only do you have this manager and parents and this guy's going to, I mean, so many expectations to live up to. I'm surprised we don't see more of them crack the way that she did, you know? And with her, her parents, I think, reeled her in like Britney's parents did, but they finally got her in the proper medications, and I think she went to fashion designing school.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here.
And publicly apologized to all those people. She said, you know, but if you read some of her comments, it was like a little kid lashing out, "You're ugly" kind of thing, you know. Mm-hmm. So it's very tragic. I'm glad the latest stories I've heard of her, she's pulled it together, and if we can give Lindsay a break, she definitely deserves a break.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
But I'm glad you mentioned her. I hadn't thought about her in a while. I like that choice.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one.
Yep.
For my choice, I didn't really think so much about The Girl Next Door, but she can definitely pull that off. But I had several things thinking. I was thinking about several things when I was doing this. So, for whatever reason, I can't really explain right now, the name that popped in my head was Keira Knightley.
Okay.
Would be an interesting role for her, sure.
Yep. I don't know. There's just, I don't know. I think she would do the role well.
Oh, totally. I mean, she's proven to be a good actor anyway.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
It would be an interesting role for her to accept.
Yeah.
I mean, once she did that, it would be fun, but it's a tough role. The role by itself is a tough one. So.
Right.
Yeah. It's a cool choice.
I agree.
Alrighty.
Okay, so here we start to jump into the Volume 2 stuff a little bit. So let's just jump right into Roach Riley here. This is an interesting character, needless to say. And this is actually one of the ones that I didn't have much doubt about. This guy came into my head pretty early on, and I was like, okay, yeah, I can see him doing this. And this is also one off of Liz's usual list. I'm picking Channing Tatum for this.
Okay.
I can't think of anybody. Well, I mean, given time, I probably could think of a lot of people that would do it, but I think Channing Tatum could easily handle the Disturbed Jarhead thing.
Yeah.
I think.
Hasn't he played a Disturbed Jarhead?
Maybe, I don't know. Possibly.
I like it. Because
Yeah.
that was one of my picks. So yeah, I like it.
Oh, you're not biased at all, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no. The guy can act a little bit, and I say that I'm kind of playing it down a bit. He's proven to be a good actor.
He has.
And he's certainly got the build for this role. So, you know.
See, I pulled from my usual list, and I went with Jensen Ackles for this one. I think he could do it. Scruff him up a little bit. Throw him in fatigues. Oh, yeah. I think he could do it.
Doesn't he do that on Supernatural now?
Not with fatigues. Usually just a t-shirt and jeans, you know. Maybe a flannel.
Yes, I saw him in the My Bloody Valentine remake. Yeah, he could do it.
Cool.
Yeah, he can definitely do it.
Well, and there's a couple of episodes where he's been possessed, and he's played, some really down and dirty characters, and like this last run on Michael. So
that's a cool choice.
I am not familiar with Volume 2, guys, I'm sorry to say. But hearing Channing Tatum, I pictured him as Stanley in the first book. A guy that just wanted to beat the crap out of everybody. Was a bully from the word go.
Right.
That's doable too, honestly.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, definitely. Well, you already heard one of my picks. The other one I had was Garrett Hedlund. That's the name I've used before on one of our casting calls. But he actually had worked. It's funny because I didn't realize that he had actually worked with Hunnam in a Netflix series. But Garrett Hedlund was in the Tron Legacy. He was the star of the Tron Legacy films. And there's kind of a look about him. And he definitely has the build. I think he could do it.
Yeah, I can kind of see it. I can see the look. I have not seen him in anything really, but I can see it.
Good choice.
Thank you. Alrighty.
Okay, so let's go with the major now. And this is more spoiler time because the major is not what the major seems to be. And so there's actually you're actually kind of casting another character in here, which those of us who have not read Volume 2 wouldn't know that, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. So to not get too spoilery, let's just say that the other person is someone who is in the public eye quite a bit. So you're looking at someone who can play two roles at once, which isn't really. I mean, these people are professional actors; they can do that. So pretty much anybody you pick can do that. But thinking about the major and then also kind of having the other guy in the back of my head, The person that came to mind was Joe Manganiello.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's got that. I think he's got the kind of the physical presence and kind of the voice to do the Major, and then can kind of shift into smarmy mode and do the other and do Hal as well.
Did you watch Magic Mike before you cast this movie?
I did not, but it came up on my Google a couple of times. Not surprisingly, I actually thought about Joe Manganiello before the Magic Mike thing came out, because I was like, okay, I know who this guy is, but I need to be able to go back and say he's been in this, and so I looked him up and I was like, oh, Magic Mike, okay, great, and then and by then I was already putting Channing Tatum down. I'm like, oh, dang it, oh well,
Yeah.
oh well.
I know him more from One Tree Hill.
And could be Deathstroke if we ever see that, because
Right.
he was in the scene post credits for Justice League.
Mhm.
So
That's cool.
Yep.
I like that choice, definitely.
Is he not reading Volume 2? The only thing that would pop up if you Google the Major is the Beetle Bailey cartoon that I'm taking it's like a parody in this book.
It is.
It is.
That is exactly what it is.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
from that Major-
get Roach,
Yeah. Roach Riley, Beetle
Bailey.
Bailey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally what it is.
So that Major I casted as Vincent D'Onofrio. Frio?
D'Onofrio.
D'Onofrio.
D'Onofrio. There you go.
And I can totally see that.
I could totally see that too.
Yeah,
Because he could do both. He could do,
Yeah. I mean, he's just good. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
almost easy. But yeah, he would do well at this for sure.
I like that one as well. So I guess it's up to me, huh? It's funny because most of the work I did on this, I did before issues 3 and 4 had come out. So the reveal about the Major had not been made.
Right.
So I had already basically cast just based on which at that point had been nothing but just this kind of disembodied voice with
Yeah.
just the shape of a figure with the drill sergeant hat and that kind of thing. So I was basically going off the voice, and then when we got the reveal, I'm like, it still works.
Good.
Josh Brolin, or at least I think it works.
Yeah, I could see that. Absolutely.
Because, like I said, I originally was going with the voice, and he has such a great voice. And then when everything else came out, I'm like, yeah, it still works because he can do the other side too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Oh yeah. I like it.
So, did y'all do any other casting? I mean, that was just a list I put together, but I mean, there's other characters we could have done.
Well,
I had a couple.
Okay.
go for it.
First is Ramona, the babysitter, the stripper. I looked at this, and somebody that's played so many straight roles, I think, can do the evil part here, and that's Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Because in the story, when she talks to Locke and shows them what they were doing, I went, this is a person that looks nice from the outside but has got an evil heart. And that I figured could be Hewitt. Anybody else on that?
It's interesting. Yeah, I like that choice. I do.
I like that. Yeah, I didn't. She wasn't one of the ones I came up with to add, but yeah, no, that's interesting.
Yep.
Especially with her kind of, I don't know, she did a couple of long running shows where she kind of was this sort of sweet girl type personality thing, and so to see her do something with that much of a dark streak would be really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other character I had was Mrs. Scabtree.
Oh yeah, the principal.
Yeah.
And this could be almost any actress over the age of 40. But I was zeroing in on 3 different ones. Probably the least likely would be Meg Ryan. I just don't know if she could pull this off. I know she's done serious work, but this is a person with a capital E. She is just rat bat crazy here. The other 2 were Goldie Hawn and Cameron Diaz. And I've seen Cameron Diaz do some serious acting. She's on some other shows, and I just feel like she could do this. And Goldie Hawn, America's sweetheart for so long, just like Meg Ryan. Goldie Hawn, I think, could shelve her body paint from Rowan and Martin and do this evil part too.
You've definitely got you've got an appearance in mind for this role, obviously.
Yes, I do. In fact, I'm going for more of a beauty look than I am what was depicted in the graphic novel. But I've got a feeling that you can, I've seen Michelle Pfeiffer look haggard, so I know that they can do something with these ladies too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I can. I mean, those are all very good at their jobs in their own right. So yeah, there's no doubt any of them could pull it off.
I can add one to that list.
Okay.
Allison Janney.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
I mean, she's done it all. I mean, she's done sitcom with the mom, but I kind of keep thinking about her from The West Wing, where she did everything. Yeah.
Right. A very intense, dramatic role.
Yes.
And that Scabtree is an intense character, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. I have a couple here.
Okay.
And they are primarily from Volume 2, so.
Right.
And actually, one of them is in a way kind of a cop out, but I'm gonna go ahead and own it here, because I put Hero on the list, but I kind of decided not to cast her because, to be honest, I just don't know. I mean, you'd need a kid, and
yeah,
it's really hard to try to do that with what we're doing.
Right.
I mean, you Google child actors and you get this ridiculously long list of all these kids that look identical, and you can't tell the difference, and it almost wouldn't matter at that point. We would need a professional casting agent to pull that off. And the part of the reason I wanted to mention is because Hero's kind of important in Volume 2.
Oh, definitely.
But also, you get to, when you go back to Volume 1, you get to the flashbacks of young Locke and young Sophie, and you're still looking at 10-year-old kids. And so you've got the same problem. You kind of can't cast them without just pulling random names out of a hat. So, what you do is you find a couple of kids that look kind of like they should look, and you tell, you give them some pretty inappropriate jokes to make, and that's pretty much your flashback, unfortunately. I mean, clearly, if we were writing this, we'd spend a little more time on it than that. But I kind of thought about it for a while, and I was like, I don't think I can do this any justice with casting children. So I just sort of backed away from it.
That is the reason why I didn't put her on the list. Yes, she is important.
She's very important, but
she's very in the second in mainly in the second volume. But it's just, yeah, I was going, oh my god, it would be too difficult.
That's too hard to do. Yeah,
so that's why she was not on the list.
Yeah, I get that after thinking about it for a while. The other one, I actually do have one more though, and I wanted to go ahead and cast Melinda Mercury, Star Reporter. She's definitely comes up. You don't meet her at all until volume 2.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of going more for a look than anything else here. So I got 2 names. And it turns out that they kind of came out of the same TV show. Jessica Pimentel and Elizabeth Rodriguez. I think either one of them would be awesome in the role. And fans of Orange is the New Black will probably know who both of them are.
Mm-hmm.
But either one of them, I think, there's a look there, and I mean that role is, I mean, like I said, I mean she pretty much bills herself as Melinda Mercury, Star Reporter, so you can almost get a sense of the personality there.
Yeah.
But she provides some interesting character dynamics in volume 2. She's kind of again, we go spoilery a little bit here. She's kind of a love interest for Locke, and she's also kind of working the same mystery from a different angle, and so she's got little bits through the book, and it's I think it's a fun and interesting character, and so I kind of wanted to at least throw something out there for her. But yeah, either of those 2 women would be really good.
And Orange is the New Black comes back the 26th.
Oh, there you go.
Yay! Last season.
Cool. Cool that it's coming back, not necessarily cool that it's the last season. I'm not wishing mean things on that show, but
I'm kind of surprised it came back for another season the way the last one ended. They kind of wrapped it, you know. Kind of.
And I vaguely remember hearing that somewhere too, was that it was kind of over, and so I mean I don't watch it, I don't know, so I just kind of believe in whatever I heard, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was you that said that, to be honest.
That was one of those shows I didn't set out to watch it, and I saw a couple episodes, and it was kind of like, oh, this isn't Oz. Because I don't know if you guys ever watched Oz on HBO, but that show was brutal. I mean, it was brutal. A lot of triggers, you know, and they don't warn you. Back then, they didn't have to, but...
Well, that and it was HBO.
Yeah.
They especially didn't have to.
So it's kind of...
Yeah, that's actually, hearing that was kind of why I never got into it. I never tried to watch it, because it's like, I don't know if I'm really interested in watching a prison thing.
Right.
So.
And to me, I don't care if it adds to the story or if it's the main story. To me, rape is never entertainment. It shouldn't be made light of. It shouldn't be used as a shock factor. It just should just leave it alone. It's one of those that I think should totally be taboo. You leave it alone. You don't, you know.
If I'm going to argue against that, it's only in the sense that it's the kind of thing that people need to understand is out there.
They do.
If you're going to use it, you need to find a way to use it kind of in an educational sense more than anything else. Yeah, you don't want to glorify it. You don't want to give it any more lip service than you have to. But you also don't want to just pretend it doesn't exist.
But, you know, when they tried to do that with 13 Reasons Why, I know a lot of parents were against that show, and I watched it, and I think the way they handled that, I mean, like I said, it's always going to be tough to watch, but it explained a lot of the feelings that nobody talks about after,
Right.
And they were like, oh, they should have just left it out of there. No, because what happened to her was one of the main reasons why she killed herself.
Right.
And totally understandable. And it is sadly the outcome for a lot of victims.
Right.
So
It is reality.
it should have, and like now they're complaining about the bathtub scene. And it's kind of like, suicide is not pretty. It's not glorious. It's not a happy ending, and I think once again, it was kind of this is what your mom's going to look like when she finds you kind of thing. Not oh, look, she killed herself. It was
Right.
once again dealing with this is after, because nobody thinks about after, who's going to find you, who's going to miss you, the impact it's going to have,
To say that nobody thinks about that might not be totally fair, but
Right,
But
no,
again,
it's not.
we can go back and forth on this forever.
Right.
And
But yeah, like I said, that's
yeah.
Orange is the New Black. Yep.
Yep.
Back to 26.
Yep. Totally.
But one more thing, I think Orange is the New Black, that when things like that do come up, it is handled with the before and after too.
Good.
So
Right.
it's not just a story. So
Good for them.
yep.
Alrighty. Was there any more casting choices?
That's all I got.
Nothing here.
We would be interested in whatever casting choices you, dear listeners, would have. So please contact us and let us know. We would love to hear them. Or any of our casting or whatever casting you may want to do for our previous episodes. We would love to hear your choices.
Yeah, we've actually gotten some really fun feedback on some of these in the past, so yeah.
Yes,
keep
we
it
have.
coming.
Yeah, definitely. And on that note, we are going to take a quick break and be back with our weekly picks. And we're back, and it's time for our weekly picks. And leading off this week is Les.
Thank you, sir. My first choice comes from Source Point Press. It is issue 3 of Sham. This is a comic book that pokes fun at comic books. In this one, the character Bozo the Robot fights Lex Lupus as PETA releases the dread owl flu upon the populace.
Wow.
That is awesome.
That does sound awesome.
Also shunned by real women, Dr. Amos Hidioso creates beautiful bionic companion in the story The Girl of My Screams. You also have Skunky McGee, the private eye, who has deplorable personal hygiene and is hired by a wealthy woman to protect her from possibly murderous husband in the case of the lethal sleepover. And finally, I'm sorry, I'm reading this straight from their write-up because it's too funny. The final one is Conan the Aryan Barbarian goose steps across the ancient world in search of wine, women, and treasure, but mostly women.
Dang.
This is a funny series. They make fun and they poke fun at anything and everything, and I really applaud them for doing this. So step up and find Sham number 3 on your shelves this week.
That's cool.
That is a pretty
Yeah.
good write-up.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's the only way you can
No,
give
no.
this justice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's too good not to just.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
that's awesome.
Alrighty, Liz,
All right.
follow that up.
Right.
No kidding.
I'll go with my lighter choice first. My first choice is a trade by DC Comics. It's going to be in all ages, but it's called Dear Justice League. They've taken letters from kids and they've, put it all in a book, 160 pages. So there was a lot of questions by kids, but some of them are like, does Aquaman smell like fish? Now, of course, that's what kids want to wonder, but since that was asked, I'm kind of curious. Does he smell like fish?
Dang.
Like I said, just things that you've maybe never wondered, like I said, until you read it, but things that kids often ask that you never know the answers to, But I think it should be really cute. Like I said, 160 pages, all ages, so young and old. It should be a pretty cute little story. But they say that you'll find out that being a superhero is no different from being a little kid. So I guess they had accidents too.
Ew.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
yeah. It's good and light, This would be your fluff day read,
Yep.
Alrighty, Mikey.
Well, I'm glad somebody has a fluff day read pick because I sure as hell don't. I half want to joke about this being my lighter pick, but I don't really know that that's true. My first pick is from Dark Horse Comics, and this is a new series from Cullen Bunn, and this is called Manor Black. Issue number 1 comes out, and this is a new story about a family of sorcerers who are expecting their patriarch to fall over dead at any moment. And so they're trying to figure out how they're going to basically seize power from him when he does. And the said patriarch has some other ideas about how that's all going to go down. So a good old down-home family drama here, I think.
Woohoo.
Yep, I expect this will be a lot of fun, and hopefully, I think it's pretty obvious it'll be kind of dark, and it will be interesting to see how this turns out.
It does sound fun.
It does.
It kind of reminds me of Stardust from years ago with the king and the kids that are hovering. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be interesting.
Yep, Shades of King Lear.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely. Alrighty, I'm up next, and I'm going to keep the Cullen Bunn train going. Because my pick is from Aftershock Comics. It's a new series called Knights Temporal. As I said, it's written by Cullen Bunn, with art by Fran Gallen. And it is a story of a man who's returning from the Crusades, who is ashamed and horrified by all the things he'd done during the Crusades, and pledges to redeem himself by trying to eliminate the evil wherever he can locate it. And during his quest, he comes across a sorcerer. It chases him into a forest, and apparently on the other side of the forest is modern day world. So now he's a man out of time, and this ought to be interesting.
Yep.
So you have his. Yep. it kind of intrigued me. And it's Colin Bunn, so it's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If I'm going to give anybody a shot at a time travel story, it'll be Cullen Bunn.
Good choice.
Thank you. You are up next, Les.
For my second choice, I'm going to pull out the graphic novel Bone by Jeff Smith. Bone was I want to say a 30-issue series of black and white art. Smith was the writer and artist on this. It is a fascinating tale of the three Bone cousins, Phony Bone, and Smiley Bone, who are exiled from Boneville. There seems to be a theme here. And on their travels, they come across various characters such as Thorn, Grandma, Ben, the Great Red Dragon, and of course the stupid rat creatures. This is a book that I have forwarded to children to read, and they loved it, just like I did. It's a great read. Now, this is a single tome, so you're looking at 1,300 pages.
Oh.
Wow.
This was either going to be a coffee table book for you, or it's going to be a doorstop. But it is great stuff, and I highly recommend this because it is going to be around forever. It is that good. So step on out. Grab this one right off the bat.
That wasn't Bone one of the banned books?
Yes, it was.
Why would they ban? What was the reasoning behind that? Do you know?
Tell you the truth, I don't know.
I mean, I usually don't understand half the books that they ban, just that usually makes kids read them more, so.
Well, this one made adults read it more, that's for damn sure.
Yeah. So I think Bone's another one that you introduced me to. That didn't sound right.
And hopefully I don't have to apologize for that.
No, it was a good read. It really was.
Good.
But it's kind of the humor to where it is all ages, but adults could appreciate that too.
Yeah.
At the risk of starting some potential shit here,
Uh-oh.
it was banned for, quote, political viewpoint, racism, violence, end quote.
Huh.
That was all it was given.
Which is the three things I would never think to put with Bone. But, huh.
Did they ban the Congress then too?
I don't know, but Jeff Smith's reaction was, I have no idea what book these people read.
Yeah.
I have to agree to that.
Yeah.
It was a winner of 41 national and international awards.
Yeah.
Wow.
You had 10 Eisner Awards and 11 Harvey. That's a lot of clout right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah, good pick.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Alrighty, Liz.
All right. For my second pick, it's one from Source Point Press.
They're getting a lot of love this week.
Mm.
And it's called Love She Offered. This is going to be a 3-part miniseries. It starts off with a guy's daughter was murdered right outside of her home. She was stabbed several times and just kind of left there. Well, of course, with any police investigation, they always, interview the people closest to you. Usually the wife, the husband's going to be the first one they want to talk to. So they talk to her boyfriend, and they never make any charges or anything against him, so they cleared him. Well, her dad thinks that they're whack and that he did have something to do with this. So he grabs his buddy Earl.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and his best friend Earl. I think Earl's his brother. And they wind up kidnapping Brian, which was the boyfriend, and they're going to find out what happened to his daughter. So, should be interesting. 3 parts. Story should move pretty quickly, so you won't be left wondering too long what happened that night. So this one kind of seems interesting, you know.
Yeah.
If he'll confess just to get him to stop, or... But it's called The Love She Offered, so maybe we'll actually find out that he loved her deeply. Or she was crazy and he had to put her down.
You know?
You never know.
Read the book.
Make it sound like Old Yeller.
All will be revealed.
Yeah. I've seen some of them women get mad. Woof, 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 woof. So maybe Old Yeller's right.
Ouch.
Alrighty, Mike.
I don't know how I'm going to top that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to try not to and just pick a really good book. So my second pick is from Abstract Studios. And I'm picking 5 Years, number 3. And the reason I'm picking 5 Years, number 3 is because we probably should have picked 5 Years number... Well, we might have picked 5 Years number 1 when it came out, now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway, so this is from writer and illustrator Terry Moore, who we've had the pleasure of talking to on our show before. And this is the book that he set up with Strangers in Paradise 25. The end of that series was essentially the start of this one. And at the end of that series, we find out that the world is going to end in 5 years. And so then we move on into this book titled 5 Years. And so it's the same old gang. A good bit of the Terry Moore verse. Not sure if he's got a sort of a name he's calling that, but anyway, whatever. Most of the time it's not the writer that comes up with those names. Hopefully somebody will come up with a better one than I just did. But
I've heard Terryverse.
Terryverse. That I'll buy that. That sounds way better. Attempting to change the fact that the world is going to end in 5 years. So, like I said, this is issue 3. Go back and grab 1 and 2 as well and get caught up. It's good stuff.
Yep.
Should be good.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. I am next. So for my second choice, I'm going with a new miniseries from Valiant Entertainment. And it's a pleasant one called Killers. Written by B. Clay Moore. Art by Fernando Dagnino. And essentially the story is about 5 assassins who are recruited into a quote-unquote game of cat and mouse. And they try to find out what is going, why are they involved with this, and what do they get out of it. The art looks incredible. This is kind of different, a little different for Valiant, which is cool, which is something Valiant likes to do. They kind of shake things up. So I have high hopes on this one.
Yep, I think this one's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Recall what he's done before. Do you remember?
Which one? Talking about B. Clay Moore?
Yes.
Hawaiian Dick.
Okay. That's as far as you have to go.
Okay.
That's what I remember in his previous stuff, and I thoroughly enjoyed his Hawaiian detectives book.
Yeah, be careful.
Wait, nice catch, man. Nice catch. That was close. I was beginning to think that was going to get ugly, but
That could really gone wrong.
Yeah, you've plugged his books before, Les. That's why you're remembering the name.
All right, in our honorable mention is
Okay, again, I have to top that. No, this is actually an easy one for us because we're kind of unanimous on this one, and this is yet another SourcePoint Press book. We are excited for issue number 1 of Boston Metaphysical Society. I believe the last time Madeline was on the show, she had mentioned that SourcePoint Press had picked up the original 6-issue miniseries of her trademark series, and this is issue 1 coming out this week. So if you have not, first off, maybe jump back and have a listen to the last interview we did with Madeline on our show, and also make sure your local comic shop is picking this book up for you because it's a really good read. It is set in 1895. The main characters are a former Pinkerton agent and a spirit photographer and the phrase here is genius scientist, who is actually kind of an actual historical character, by the way. And they're fighting back the world of the supernatural in, like I said, 1895 Boston. So definitely go check out Boston Metaphysical Society.
yes, here.
Mm-hmm.
So glad that this is coming out for the general public,
Yep.
and bravo SourcePoint Press for picking it up.
Yeah, these were books that came out a couple of years ago via Kickstarter, essentially, and it's really cool to see them getting press exposure.
Yep. Alrighty. Any special shout outs this week?
Not me.
No.
Not here.
Just a reminder that no new episode next week, but we will be back the following week. So,
We'll be back.
Now don't you go away.
We'll be back in 2 and 2.
thank you, Chuck. We'll move on to our regular shout-outs then. I also want to thank Pop Goes to Culture for allowing us to be part of their podcast network. Definitely check out our podcast members. We'll have a link in the show notes for y'all to do that. I also want to thank the fine folks of Pattern Family on Twitter for spreading the word of the fellowship. We highly recommend you go checking out some of their stuff, and the easiest way to do that is to do a search, #Pattern Family is one word, and just scroll through, and whatever catches your attention, just click on that link, download that episode, and have some fun. I also want to shout out to Manny and Martyr for supplying the music for our podcast. Thank you very much, guys, for your support as always. And last but certainly not least, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We always appreciate your support. We value your feedback. We would love to hear from you. If you have a comment, suggestion, question, complaint, observation, whatever, please contact us. And there are several ways you can do that. Our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Or you can fill out the contact form that we have on the website. It's on the About Us tab. Click on that. It's going to be right there on the left-hand side of the page. Please follow us on our social media. We're on Facebook, obviously. We mentioned the Facebook earlier. And if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and would love to hang out with us for our meet and gab, definitely sign up for that. And we look forward to seeing you there on August 10th. Obviously, we're also on Twitter as well, at Fellowship Geeks. If you'd like to follow our individual Twitter accounts, Mike can be found at Mikey Geek. Liz can be found at LN_Geek. And I can be found at TomTCGeek. And wherever you download our episodes, if you would please be so kind to rate and review our show. That would be awesome. Thank you. Any final thoughts or anything before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate you listening.
Thank you once again for listening, friends. It's always, we do appreciate your support as always. And until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,